Hey,
Hi,
Hey,
beautiful man.
you doing?
We're, we're doing well. How's it going over there?
That was weird. I've done Zoom a million times. It's weird.
Yeah, sometimes technology is
it,
just not on our sides.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, Swale,
Now, Swale, you're
hey, buddy.
frozen.
Am I frozen?
you are frozen.
Yeah.
It must be
Oh
very
well.
cold in Australia right now.
Yeah.
Either that or you got a permagrin.
I think it's gonna be what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Where are you from?
Longmont,
Ah, yeah.
Longmont.
In a hotel.
It's a residence inn. So the thing about it is that because we weren't sure how long we were going to be here. And if you get like an Airbnb, the problem is if they rent out the next month, and they schedule it all out, they could just kick you out. And we
Yeah.
weren't sure how long we were going to be here, so we needed a place where we could continue to stay and continue to stay. So, yeah,
You found it.
and I found it. Yeah.
I have to say,
So,
with that new beard, it's true wizard form.
really,
It looks marvelous. Yeah.
I was burning up so intensely. Um, I told you it was like 5 days naked and burning up and unconscious. And when I awoke from it, I was like, I need to shave off all my hair, like so I could feel the cool. It made a huge difference as far as feeling the cool.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. How are you both?
Swale's
Great.
back.
Oh, good. You're unfrozen.
Ah. Yeah, it's just good to see your face finally.
Thank you. It's good to be seen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
brother.
I've said this to Shmoo, but I haven't said it to you. Thank you beyond measure, beyond words, for setting up the GoFundMe. Like
Of
I,
course.
I didn't see it coming, and when when Shmoo called me and he said, "Can you do this?" I was in the ER, and I'm like, "No, I can't write anything down." And I was in super pain, and I didn't see that coming. And the blessing of that has allowed us to be here. It has allowed us to buy groceries and not have to think about it. And I'm just so blessed and I'm just so grateful. And thank you.
You're well loved by the community. That was amazing. They all just that happened so fast.
It was so fast. It was really mind boggling, you know. And Shmoo send me updates. First I wasn't looking at it, but he was sending me updates and now Shmoo's frozen. Oh, there he goes.
I'm here.
Uh,
I'm just deep in the listening and then getting to be
yeah.
with you.
So you know, he was sending me updates, and I was half-heartedly paying attention to him, not because I didn't think we'd raise any money, but because I had other fish to fry and physical. And but then when it started to balloon and just balloon, I couldn't help but be magnetized to it like a firefly and just going, what's going on here? Like what's happening? And really, really just astonishing. And it's amazing what a group of people can do quickly if they want to quickly. I mean, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know how much I love you and I'm grateful for it. So
We love
thanks,
you.
brother.
We love you too, and you're so welcome. And it's just this community just never it never ceases to amaze me how community and this community just can come together. And you mean the world to so many people.
Yeah, I mean, and then there was on top of that, there was a video that was made, and Tina, could you give me some ice? There was a video that was made, and that got even more ridiculous as far as just and it took me 3 times to get through it. You know, um, it's tough. I'm not used to. Did either of you see Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So the second one he learns that his father is named Ego, and he's a planet. And there's something about this, there's something about this. There's something about this overwhelming turn of the microscope on me that felt a little bit like that, like it was all ego, like it was all me, like it was, so it took a while to get through that videotape, because I prefer balance. I prefer knowing about you. I prefer wanting to know what's going on with you. Those are my joys, like what's going on with you? How are you doing? And so it was weird to be the planet for a moment. And it passed, which is good because I can imagine only what it would be like if it continues. But yeah, so really just mind blowing, mind blowing.
I'm very curious, Fog, if you don't mind sharing what's happened over the last, few days or week. It just felt like you disappeared, and we were, I was expecting to not see you again, and yeah.
Yes, I finally get to introduce you to my sister Monica.
That's what I said. Hi. You should go say hi. Hi. I get to finally see you guys.
Oh, hi Monica.
Hi, Monica.
It's nice to meet you both.
You too.
That's Swale, and that's Shmoo.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for being who you are.
Likewise. Thanks for the text.
Mm.
Thanks, sweetie.
Give him another kiss
Oh,
from me.
sorry, Tina wants me to show you joy.
Oh,
Yeah.
so much joy.
So you've now met the brood. So what happened over the couple days was I had this wristband on that said do DNR. Do not resuscitate. The idea being that I want natural death because I wanted everything to go into the earth and I just wanted it to be natural. And I don't think you're aware. I think it's innocent. And I bet this happens a lot for the amount of suffering that you experience your loved ones go through. And so I was in a state of absolute burning up, like burning up. And I was unconscious, but I could hear what was going on in the room, kind of like out of the body experience. I was having a lot of out of body experience, and I could like drop in on Tina's consciousness. I could drop in on Monica's consciousness. They didn't know I was aware because I was out. So for like 5 days, I was burning up, and I really thought this is the end. And the suffering amount was overwhelming. And I didn't want to put them through any more suffering. And
Sorry, do you mean the suffering that you felt from them when you were dropping in?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, correct. They were suffering watching me suffer. And that was suffering for me. I would much rather just simply, I'd rather just simply cut that bracelet and say, you know, but I wasn't sure once you do that whether or not you have the right to cut the bracelet. But I did. I motioned to Monica like on the fifth day, cut the bracelet, cut the bracelet, and she cut it right away. And in that moment, I was able to sit up. They were rubbing my mouth constantly with swabs, attempting to get water in there. I was so dry, I was drying up from the inside, and they were trying to get water in there. And I was just dying for ice. I don't know if, have you ever been in the hospital and they have ice chips?
No.
Soft ice chips. So I don't know what it is. They have a machine there. It's a soft ice chip machine. The ice comes out very small, very flaky, but it allows you to. It is almost a snow cone. It's a chewy ice that is easy for pregnant women that are going through the heat or dying people who are going through the heat. And I so badly wanted some of that ice because I've experienced it on multiple occasions. And so, so once I was alert and I took off the wristband, things changed. Things changed radically. And I quickly began eating ice. And I mean like eating ice like you can't believe. Like I've got a glass of ice right here in front of me. Just ice. Somebody said it's sexual frustration. I don't have any sexual frustration. I don't know what that's about. But
Did you want to make you one of the snow cones?
what?
Did you want a snow cone?
Mm.
You?
So
And the orange are great.
great. So it revived me. Like it revived me. And
But after you cut the bracelet, Fog, how did they bring you back?
that was it. It was the, sorry, there's about to be a little minute blender noise. That's all. So we were talking to the hospice nurse about this yesterday. She says body temperature regulation is one of the craziest aspects of what goes on as far as what's happening with your body and regulating the temperature as this is going within. She said, but it's emotional, it's mental, it's physical. So there was something about cutting the bracelet and saying, fine, so be it. So be it, you know. I'm going to be mostly liquid nitrogen that feeds plants, you know, 80%, but maybe 20% will be a fire cremation. I was not wanting that, but so it changed on its own without me having to do anything else.
Wow. Just in the act of basically saying, I'm prepared to be resuscitated.
Yeah, basically it's not just a matter of saying I'm going to be resuscitated, because in the other one, you're basically saying, I'm not willing to end this any sooner than Source, since existence has a plan. Thank you so much, Tina. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Good to see you.
See you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
No, thank you so much. Jeez.
So, existence has a plan, and you're basically saying, I'm gonna die a completely natural death, and I'm not gonna force the issue. And then suddenly, what I was saying was, okay, if I go this route, that means that basically you're given a verbal. Monica and Tina are given verbal instructions. Do you want us to recitate? And if they answer no, then the oncologist I saw prior to this all happening was in Cortez. And he said to me, the great thing about your kidneys failing is, it's funny, just a statement alone, is that you fall into a sleep coma and you just don't wake. And that wasn't my experience. My experience was that I was uber conscious, out of body by sweetie, uber conscious about what was going on, not from an attempted like throw of my body out there. It was happening on its own accord, kind of like a reorientation, kind of like you're going to be needing this reorientation. We're going to help you like reorient to spirit perspective. And, it's very different than physical perspective. And so there was sort of a reorientation going on for me. But I had had seen enough, way too much suffering in their ears and eyes and hearts to want to perpetuate that. And I thought I need to get this bracelet off as soon as possible. That way, it's not forced to stay alive. So, yeah, I hope all that makes sense.
Mostly.
It was really important. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really, really important.
The bracelet was more, the cutting it off was more of a symbol that kind of allowed you to come back and to experience the rest of your days as you are.
So the next
it's like a
day,
metaphor.
And it was weird because, brother, the day it happened, I had just met with the hospice nurse. She read all my vitals. I talked to her. I was fine. Nothing was going on. She left. We sat down to make dinner, and I was out. That's why I said to you, it turns like a dime. I was out. And then when I came out of this, again, like turning on a dime, I was suddenly up for almost 2 days straight. Just weird. Hanging with my sister, we had a slumber party, and yeah, and just weird. So I was up for almost 2 days. My brain just going. I felt weird losses of time, weird gaps in time, weird mind games in my mind. Lots of weird stuff like that. Yeah.
How have you learned anything very different to how you were understanding the world prior to this experience? Is there any sort of...
Sure. I mean, fundamentally, I learned that that you can cause accidental suffering in a big bad way. In a big bad way. I always believed if your intent was sort of spot on, that this wouldn't be an issue, that I'd fall into a sleep coma and that would be it. But even with the best of intentions, to know that things were continuing. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm happy for the additional time that I've had, but I didn't see the ability to create such profound suffering in others having to observe me suffering at the end. And that was a lesson to me. Huge, huge. Not necessarily profoundly metaphysical, but very physical indeed. Yeah.
How are you even thinking about death at the moment? Is it? I can't imagine
The
where you're at.
the Zen master in me just stays in the moment. Like I'm not thinking past this Zoom chat. It's just the way I operate. If I'm serving tea, I'm thinking only of serving tea. If I'm hanging with one of you, I'm only in that moment. I don't force myself out of that moment and ahead at all. So because of that, there's an aspect of me that's like, well, I'll deal with death when death happens. When it's death, then I'll know what's going on. That said, I really do feel like I've been getting reorientation, a reorientation of perspective through all of this out of body stuff. Kind of basically saying, we're going to make this easier on you when it does happen because you're going to have some experience understanding what it's like to. Because I've had one out of body experience in my life. It was in Humboldt County. It was beautiful. But I was on psilocybin and I was with my friends. I was with Tina and I was with Andrew. And I suddenly was about 100 yards up and looking down. But the moment I looked and saw the bodies were down there, I flew back in. I don't know if we lost Swale.
I think he may have had a disconnection, but I'm sure he'll be back.
Okay. There you are.
Yeah, I lost you for a sec.
So in that time, the minute I saw the body, I swept like a hinged door right into it. So it was like this profound, like, oh my God. I was just like 100 yards above. And I've often wondered what it would be like if you don't have that grounding piece anymore. Like the body's no longer an option. So now you're going to just simply be spirit for a moment. And so I think that's the orientation that I'm going through is that, okay, this is how you sort of negotiate or handle being without body and still being. So really wild. Really wild.
So it sounds like you're getting a few little test goes at
Yeah.
the big flight.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you leave the airport, you get to fly around a bit, and it's like, oh, where's the airport? There it is. Sweet. But at some point, the airport's just not going to be there.
Perfect. Yeah, at some point the airport's not going to be there. And then you're like, where am I going to land? Yeah.
Well, you'll be guided.
Sorry?
Right.
I'm sure.
that's I'm sure the case too, because even these little reorientations feel like guidances. You know, I feel like there's some form of something that's leading me around. I can't make it out. You know, it's very foreign almost. So yeah, but
Is it like the fog, if you will?
yeah,
It
and the fog continues to serve me. You know, the fog continues to say, "You're not dead yet." The old Monty Python, you know, not dead yet. Die when you're ready to die, and deal with it when you're ready to die. Um, but but yeah, there's definitely this feeling that you're getting a little bit of a precursor of understanding. So, you know, how are you two? What's going on?
Seth?
what's going on? The whole virtual world, and this is my world, my whole virtual world with my work and life, and besides work, I'm excited to travel soon. I'm going to be traveling, not really traveling, but going on a trip in the beginning of May. So I'm gearing up for that. I'm
Where are you going again?
going to Kauai. So I'm going to be doing a lot of adventuring there by myself, solo, and in the meantime, going on as many walks and hikes. So I'm in shape for the lusciousness that's offered in the jungles and the forests and all the things there. So I'm trying to stay present with work every day, but can't stop daydreaming also about what what's to come there.
Have you surfed before?
I surfed. There was a time in my life I surfed. I took surfing in college, my freshman year. It was my only A that I got, and
Nice.
but I didn't really learn, and I hit myself in the head so many times that I kind of didn't like. I didn't love it. I'm willing. I want to try it again. I'm willing to try it because I'm always willing to try something again if it's as magical and awesome as people say it is. Um, so it's on my list of things to try while I'm there, and
Awesome.
yeah, it's kind of and being at home and spending as much time with my family and thinking about you often and uh, and always sending you love and vibes and thinking about our time and our time in bodega together and uh, different times at camp. And I was remembering the other day, I was remembering our first email exchange, and you had asked me you were wondering about a nickname because Fog hadn't been chosen yet. And you had signed off with this curious email about camp and tea and questions and nicknames, and you signed it. You gave a signature that I hadn't seen before, and I wrote back to you offering what I thought your nickname was going to be, and I was. Do you remember what my offering was?
Merci.
Yes, yes. You had signed Merci and your name, and I offered that back, and you were not having that. And then I don't remember if it was the. I'm so amazed. I'm amazed that you recall that. I thought I was just the one that remembered little things like
Oh no,
that.
no. You know, especially with fog, that's a name that I've held inside me a long time, for decades, literally. And I thought now's the time to let that name emerge like this is a grand opportunity to let this name be my name. So it wasn't like Fog was like, yeah, that's a great name. I'm going to use that. I had been secretly calling myself Fog for decades, and because of my lessons with the Fog, and so when given the opportunity to make that choice, I was like, I got to see what happens when I make this choice and embrace this name that I've wanted to embrace for a long time. So, but yeah, I remember that email quite well. Yeah.
And Fog, what did happen?
So he wrote, what about, merci?
No, what happened when you did embrace the name Fog?
Oh. Well, there were two things that happened. The first was that I didn't know that this was going to be part of my journey. Gypsy reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to teach a play shop on tea?" And I was hating my tea spot job, and it did not sound playful at all. I was like, that does not sound playful to me, and I immediately wrote back and said, "No, give me a day or two, please." So I wrote back a few days later after I meditated on it, and I thought, but I can do this because this is who I am. And this does sound playful for me, and it would be permission. Like, I don't think anything I share in these classes is groundbreaking, but I do think it's a permission slip for individuals to go, oh, yeah, right. It's like they already knew it, and it's just a reminder, and they're like, oh, yeah, right. So I knew that this was going to be a permission slips like type of scenario where I could offer this information and see how it went. I knew I could stop it if it wasn't working.
So did you literally reply, I can't teach T, but I can teach T, teleportation, and time travel?
I wrote it out. I wrote out the blurb. I said, what about, I said to Gypsy, and I don't know Gypsy. I know Gypsy not at all. She's my first contact as far as like she was Honey Bear's liaison and, setting up the appointment with us to have an interview. But I didn't know her. And I knew that camp was wild. You see the website and you're like, this is beautiful wild. So, but I didn't know how far out there we could go. It's one thing to say, I'm going to put shaving cream on your nose. It's another thing. I'm going to instruct you in the ways of teleportation. So I wrote back, I meditated on it, and I wrote back, I said, what do you think about teleportation and time travel 101, the art of unconditional love? And I laid out the blurb.
Wow.
Would be. And she wrote back 2 words, all in caps, love it, exclamation mark. And I thought, when she did that, I thought, I'm home. I'm home. I'm like so home. I'm being embraced without record showing that I'm not worthy, but not a loose cannon. I mean, like I'm being embraced immediately, and it felt so freeing. And what I loved about the first play shop, I had 8 people, and what I loved about it was that the book I made was not intended to be for a room of 60, but if I had seen that coming, I would have made a very different sized book. But what I loved about it is it felt like the people signing their names to that play shop were like giving you permission. They're like, here's my permission. I've said yes. Go ahead. Lose whatever information you have on me. I've signed up for it. And there's such a difference between that. And that's the reason why I kept my mouth quiet for most 2 decades, is that, you know, it's one thing to be at a bar and you're bartending and someone comes up and you're like, hey, so, you know, it's not being requested. The play shop sign up sheets or this invitation. Hey, here you go.
Do you think people knew what they were signing up for, Fog?
Did I think what?
Do you think people knew what they were signing up for?
The first 8 people were so weird. They were and I mean that in the most beautiful way, but they were the outliers of camp. I got to know them briefly because I was curious about them, and they were all into various underground sex games in San Francisco and things like that. And
wow,
they just seemed very much on the fringe of reality, not just on the fringe of what I was doing. They were, and I saw those 8 names, and I was like, okay, so this might attract people that are already like exploratory. But then it obviously just blossomed and grew and shifted and in ways that still astonish me. But yeah, I don't think they knew what they were getting into, because there were lots of questions at the end of that first one, you know. But at the end of the first one, they were like, okay. It's like when I was making potions. There were a lot of servers and staff that were kind of like, I don't believe it, but I know he believes it, and I believe that he believes it. and I can tell you that whether or not you believe it, the guy back there in the potion room making potions believes 100% in what he's doing. And so there's something a little bit similar about this, where it was like, okay, you're believing in this, and I recognize that this is more than just empty words for you. So I think that mattered. And then I don't know why it blew up. It started to happen where staff wanted to take it, and I started to get staff in there. And that's, I think, when things really shifted drastically, because they then spread the word of mouth that, oh, you have to do this while you're here, because I certainly wasn't advertising it. I was just sticking the play shop sheet down.
What were you? I'm curious. What were you hoping to get something out of it? By the sounds of it, you were just trying to share what was your lived experience of reality in some way for other people to understand. What, in your words, what were you trying to teach or share?
Non-duality. I mean, you know that phrase, or no? Non-duality is the idea of singularity, of oneness. That the two-ness that we all experience of being separate from one another is just big old illusion. Big, great, marvelous, fantastic illusion, but illusion nonetheless. And you know, when I had my own experiences, I was almost under the bed for a month because I saw how others went to share the information and it just ended up as a shit show. You know, it was just misunderstood. It was um, misinterpreted. It was poorly used, sometimes to the opposite extreme of what the information was conveying. And so I think my goal was simply this has been jumping at the top of your tongue forever now. And here's an opportunity to say something and see what happens. And it might be good, it might be bad, but you'll find out at least. You know, and it's just a play shop, so like they can't stop it. So yeah, that would be my goal if I had one, was to just find out. Also, I wasn't sure if I had the maturity to handle. Look at you look at somebody in the eyes and you tell them they're a god. And that they've never done anything wrong, and that they never will do anything wrong, and that they're perfect exactly as they are. This is not about becoming a better being. This is like saying, look, if you're an asshole, that's the other side of meanness or the other side of kindness. So you're part of polarity. There's the kindness and then there's the meanness, and you're just the meanness. So I'm not telling you you're wrong or that you could be better in any way, shape, or form. I was just explaining how the system works, why there is meanness in our world, why there's poverty, you know, why there's confusion and why there's clarity. All of these things just have their own opposite. And so I simply was just like, hey, you know, one of my favorite people is Carl Sagan. And I think one of the things that he did was took very complex information and broke it down into really basic terminology. When I would teach a bartender to bartend, and some friends think I'm being snarky, but I wasn't. I would say, this is a glass. You drink from it. This is ice. You pour ice into it. It makes the drink cold. I think the idea of beginner's mind is lost very often. You presume that someone knows something important, and they don't. And so beginner's mind is a Zen practice. And the idea of being able to break things down and say, I'm going to come at this from beginner's mind. Like, here's a duck. You know, it's moving this way and it's moving that way.
This is your little picture of a duck on a stick. Yeah.
Who's right? Who's right? Here's a snow person. Is he big? Is he tall? How do you know? Simplicity, I think, is a powerful way of sharing complex information. And so I wanted to see whether or not that too, that ability that I believed I had would play out in that manner.
And is there anything you would, looking back, would have added to that play shop or taken away from it, for that matter?
Yeah, it would have had a much bigger book. I mean, once it got in the 60s and it was like 65 or whatever, I mean, that book, people were so far across the room and I felt horrible.
Just to see the pictures, you mean, that you were
just
displaying?
To see the pictures.
I love that Swale was waiting for a really deep profound answer, and it was just
I
like, no,
know.
I had everything. I just wanted the pictures to be big
Bigger
so
book.
everybody could see. Duh, come on, Swale. 60 people, we need a bigger book.
Yeah, we need a bigger book. And we did.
Give me something profound, Fog.
Yeah, thank you. We needed something bigger, that, because there's sometimes where I've written out words. It's not just the snow person. I mean, you can kind of get a grip on that, but there were other pages that were just written words of dualistic, of polarities, of hot, cold, left, right, wrong, etc., etc. And I thought that those weren't anywhere near big enough. Once the class grew that large, so, and not every, I can remember Honey Bear. Have you seen Honey Bear since he came back from the trip, Shmoo?
No, I live
Um,
just living the distance, not in the Bay anymore. But he told me
um,
that he has something from you to pass on.
yeah, yeah, correct. So, um, people started rating my shit,
What?
my cards, my tarot cards, my books. My sister was plummeting through my stuff.
Oh, there.
Yeah, not even not even waiting for a cold corpse.
Oh,
She's like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And when Honey Bear came over, he asked for something very specific, and I said, sure, absolutely. Because I didn't know anybody would ask for it. I don't want to say it out loud because um, there's an additional piece that he's taking to you, Shmoo. So, um, but yeah, this was not intended to be as big as it got. Otherwise, I would have made a much, much, much bigger book right at the beginning. Right at the beginning.
I love how
Yeah.
when you started just now, you started telling us about the when you wrote Gypsy back about the play shop idea, and that you bring up the theme of permission. And it wasn't until Levi died, Fidget died, until I realized that an underlining theme was permission, and permission to get all the adults together, and permission to play. And a big one was a permission to fail, to try something, and learn from it, and that it was okay, and that as adults we needed to hear that it's okay if you're not good at something. It's okay that
Oh,
you failed
yeah.
at that. It's okay, like, and you won't know unless you give it a whirl. Um, and so it means a lot to me that knowing that your play shop was highly themed around permission.
And I have a slightly different take on it because, like I say to myself frequently, it's a good thing Einstein didn't know how to throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Failing is learning what you do well. He doesn't know how to lob a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, which is good for the world of physics. So it's not necessarily even the failing. It's like, oh, I don't, for whatever reason, like that's not, you know, my, that's not what I excel at naturally. I excel at this physics. My mom, when she'd watch my nephew pitch, she lost a little bit of her life on every pitch. She's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm like, Mom, it's okay. It's okay if he gets hammered in this game, if he just gets the crap knocked out of him. It lets him know I'm not meant to be a baseball player. Kid's a ace fly fisher. Ace. Like, makes his own flies, has a tattoo with a fish and a fly. He's a nature boy. And I was attempting to tell her it's okay that these things don't come through, because it just directs the compass and says, oh, over this way. So, yeah. Yeah.
I got a bit of a question, Fog, that I'm curious about. About all the concept of being a magician. And in that, I imagine it's about altering reality.
Correct.
Yeah. How are you framing that in your current circumstances?
Oh,
Do you mind, like, how?
I think that's an awesome question, because metamorphosis, the idea of transformation, is what the magician helps enable. So you're taking one thing from one state and helping it become another state through intention, through action, through all sorts of things. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I've got, again, Zen in me, and it balances out the magician. And it basically says, there comes a point where you can do all of this, but if it's not shifting, if it's not in any way really altering itself, then there is most likely point and purpose in the happening itself. So reap the magic of what's happening rather than trying to make magic happen. That compute.
Yeah, it's almost like you can sort of play within this. And the magician can play within this, but not here. Is that sort of like there's a within your life you do have some ability to create magic?
You have a lot of ability. I mean, I don't teach weather changing because I just wanted to see people's reactions. I was honestly saying this is something I've done multiple times in the right state of consciousness. It's not like it happens out of the blue. You really have to be in the right state of consciousness. But what you said a moment ago, being out here, there's a time when you can say, okay, through best efforts, through best intentions, through best attentions, this is not bending. This is not changing. So I believe that there's magic in it as it is. And I'm supposed to find that magic as it is, not to transform it from A to B, but to find what it already is, see what its nuggets, what its pearls are to have for me, and mine that. So nothing, it's sort of Eskimoian, nothing doesn't, or Native American. Yeah, sorry, I lost words. Sometimes I lose words. Indigenous is the word I was looking for. The idea that I'm going to use the whole buffalo. I'm going to use every ounce of this buffalo. It's that sort of thing where you're like, I'm going to utilize every ounce of this magic. This isn't changing for me. I've done best intentions. I've done best attentions. I've done best actions towards this. Everything's in magical alignment. It's still not shifting. Therefore, I need to use this buffalo as it is completely and see what gift it has to offer me. So I do, and then I'll use it that way as it already is.
And you are finding gifts within this process of.
Sure, lots already. I mean, a lot of the training, the out of body training. Did I tell you about the we consciousness? Did I tell you, Shmoo?
I'm not sure.
This is going to take a moment. So I took a psilocybin trip on November 23rd. And for the first time in my life, I took one with health intention. I've never done that before. I've always done it for magic, for expansion, for play, for curiosity, for seeing where I could bend the edges. But I never went into it with health on my mind. Well, where we were living, Tina and I, was covered in sage plants, cactus, pinyon, juniper, sage everywhere. I took out the mushrooms and I said to the sage, all right, sage, there's clearly a reason why we call wisdom sage. You have sage, you have wisdom. I would like to know your wisdom around this. And I would like not only your wisdom, but I would like this to be a healing journey. And I'd like to be healed of one of three ways. First way, full-blown Jesus miracle, like water into wine, blind man see. No one knows how it happens. I don't know how it happens. Somebody comes up to me and I'm like, it's a miracle. That's the first way. The second way was I wanted to align myself with what I considered progressive medicine, in the sense that, for all I know, they're 3D printing bladders in a year. And can I align myself with a timeline where I can get a 3D printed bladder, and it can happen through traditional medicine, but medicine that's sped up, if you will. The third way I asked for a healing was, I want you to heal me of the idea that this needs to be healed. You can heal me of the idea that it even needs to be healed. I'm going to be good. What I refer to when I say this is, it's like the dog, the three-legged dog, who just, you wouldn't know they have 3 legs. They're like, hey, life is great. I mean, things are wonderful.
Everyone loves a 3-legged dog.
2-legged dogs, you see them pulling with their carts or whatever, and they're just, I mean, it's amazing how nature adapts to what we go, oh, pity me. Oh, poor me. And so I said, one of those 3 ways, I don't care which one it is, Jesus, medicine, or healing me of the idea that I need to be healed. And so I went off on a journey. I took the medicine around the sage plants, and I went off to this area where there's what I call a cactus turtle. It's this little turtle sized thing that's about this big, but it's just a cactus, but just stands out from its environment. It's just awesome. So I thought, well, maybe the cactus turtle has some advice for me, and I'll go listen to the cactus turtle and see what's up. And so I took a long walk out, probably about 5-6 miles into these, what I call the humble roads. And because they're very quaint roads. And there's nothing that can humble you quicker than getting the surgeries that I've had, and the stuff that I've had. It just brings you to your knees. So I was out there, and generally when I'm on mushrooms, the weather and I are like this. If it's cold, I don't know. If it's warm, I don't know. I'm like, my body regulates itself to become in alignment with the temperature that's happening out there. That wasn't the case. The sun was very, very bright that day and almost a little bit too radiant. And so I looked over to these two trees. One was in the sun, one was out. It was a juniper that was out. And I said, I'm going to go lay down there. And, nothing was going on. And when you lay down like that, you think to yourself two things. One, you either think, okay, maybe nothing's meant to happen, and that's the magic. Or two, I need to take more. And I decided to take more. And so I took more. And it was about 20, 25 minutes, half hour after that, where suddenly just, and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. We're off and running. And I sat up and I moved into the shade of that tree even more so. And for about the next hour or two, that tree became my counselor. It was the second time I've met what I would call a dryad or a tree spirit. First time was back when I was making potions in Boulder. Um, so I meet this dryad, this tree spirit, and the way I describe it, there's two different kinds that I've experienced. The first is if you imagine your hand going into rubber and you could see an impression coming out. That's what happens. It comes out of the bark and it looks like an impression of a being. So it's coming out of the tree bark, but
Hmm.
it's not leaving the tree bark. It's like using the tree bark as a means and ways to convey form. That was not this particular dryad. This particular dryad was using one branch of leaves to form an eye and another branch to form a different eye. And the leaves were being used. It was like the Green Man symbol, if you've ever seen that. It was pulling from all of these different aspects of the tree. And so for the next hour to 2 hours, that tree was my therapist. Just listened to all of my concerns about humanity, about the fact that we're a very ice oriented culture. And the mycelium's coming at all times from we. It just is. It's we. It's not concerned about that tree or that tree. It's concerned about the balance of both trees. It's concerned about the balance of the stones and the plants and all the living things. And it wants to harmonize them all. So it kept sending over into me over and over and over, we consciousness, we consciousness, we consciousness. Now, I've had these experiences lots of times, but sometimes they fade like a dream the next day. And I said to the plant, I said to the tree spirit, I don't want to forget this. Please, please, please. I don't want to forget this. I want to remember this we. And up until that point, we were real close to a reservoir, and I was spending hours cleaning up the reservoir, um, picking up broken bottles, because the water goes down when they're feeding the farms. So picking up beer bottles, shoes, beer cans, I would spend sometimes just an hour, and other times I'd spend hours picking up hundreds of pounds of trash. And I'm not going to say that I was thinking this consciously, but I know for a fact this was my thought. My thought was, somebody littered, I'm picking it up. Period. Somebody threw this. I didn't throw this Coors bottle down here. Somebody else did. I'm picking it up. So the tree spirit looks at me and it says, the next time you're picking up litter, don't say I'm somebody, don't say they littered. I'm picking it up. Say, we littered, we're picking it up. We littered, we're picking it up. Next time you're in the grocery store line and you see someone being rude to the clerk, don't say they're being rude to the clerk and I can be kind. Say, we're being rude to the clerk and we can be kind. Those were really profound. It was 1 day later, 2 days later, I can't walk at all, which leads to this diagnosis. 30 days later, I'm diagnosed with stage 4. And it was a healing journey. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. I find that really profound. Like how different you're going to go through life just with that attitude. I want to try it today. I'm going to try and everything is going to, if I can, I like that a lot.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful. But I still need reminders. I'll default. Tina reminded me just the other day because she had a moment and of we and yeah, it's really profound. And someone left their dog bag, their poop bag. Yeah, and after weeks of it being there, she finally said, "We left our dog bag, and we can pick it up." So, yeah, it's really, really profound, and it's also played itself out with this, because in some ways, this happening, the cancer, the death, it feels a lot less like me than it feels like we. It feels like this is serving the forest that is my family, serving the forest that is grounded, serving the forest, the larger forest. And that's been helpful. I'm like, okay, because you gotta understand, I eat organic, I'm surrounded by love, I'm surrounded by friendship. It's not like, I exercise, I do Qigong, Tai Chi. It's not like my lifestyle. Like they're like, you can eat a better life. I've had that lifestyle for decades. So, there was like, there's nothing I'm going to really be able to do on the outside to affect this. Seems weird that it's happening in the first place, but the idea of it happening to me seemed less powerful than the idea of it happening to we. And it was serving the greater forest. Tina and Monica both have had profound experiences that have come out of this, and so have my parents. So,
Fog, I want to check in with you. How are you? How's your voice? How are you feeling in this moment? Are you? I don't want to tire you out. Are you good to keep going? We're here for you.
Oh, I'm tired, but I'm also here for you. I mean, I don't want to call it payback, but this is a tiny little,
No.
tiny little gesture that I can offer in return. And I didn't think I was going to. I thought I was dead as a doornail. And when I resurrected, and I know this doesn't necessarily look resurrected, but when I did, it goes to show you how bad I was. I knew that this was one of the things that I wanted to offer. So we could stay on a few more minutes, or we can, it's also up to you too.
Because I'll talk till the end, Fog. You gotta cut me off.
And bringing that back, you've already done before. You're not. I don't want to take away your words and you saying it's paying it back. I honor that, and I also want to bring to the surface you being the human you are before all of this happened, before the money was raised, before you were diagnosed with stage 4. That you gifted us with so much. It was like you just being you and being able to be around you and as a friend and a brother, that's plenty and more that you've provided us with.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So let's stay on a few more minutes.
Great.
Cool.
So I've talked I talked to Tina a couple times, and I look forward to meeting her in person, and also in introducing her in person to all the folks when she comes out to California, and God willing we have another camp and get to experience. And she's already said, I'm ready to be a honeybee. So you've
She's jumping up and down.
Don't play with me now. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I can't stand it. Oh. That'd be so great. Oh my God. Just kidding.
Ask for the tea-yurt. It's the cush job. It's the cush job. The honeybees that complained about the tea-yurt, I wanted to shake my head and say, I'm not saying that serving food in the kitchen is grueling, because it's not. It's not grueling work. But if you're talking about what's more playful and what's more fun and what's more, I think the tea-yurt is hands down one of the best honeybee jobs. And to get the resistance that we got often just always astounded me. I'm like, you have stumbled in to granted, the challenge is the 2A. Like, I can remember Dragonfly flat out passing out at his table. He was exhausted. Just boom, went down. And it's not built for people who can't handle nights. Then it's probably a horrible job. But
right.
But if you can just clear that up, like, are you a night person? Do you like staying up late? Very simple. I think it's easily one of the best jobs. I would say the other best job would be the canteen. I really do. I think you've got the music, serving grilled cheese,
Could be like a multiple choice.
Yeah, that's a fun job. I think the canteen would be a fun job, but the tea spot to me was like, this is primo, and the resistance to it, I was like, yeah.
It's gonna be a multiple choice. What do you prefer? Pouring tea, making grilled cheese, or lifting tables and wrapping extension cords? Because we could use you in the production area.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Exactly. I know. I wanted to ask something that may sound cliche or may sound I don't know, words that have been used before, but if you could leave the community that that loves you so much and leave them with words of encouragement, or how they can be better to themselves and the community, how would you phrase that, or what would you want to say?
What's interesting about that is, my brother's been like, all by Camp Grounded. I want to continue it. I want to see it go, and thank you so much. And I said, it's already purchased. It's purchased. It has a new owner. And I think the challenge I think Camp Grounded is one of the all-time brilliant names, literally brilliant names. It's genius. It's absolutely genius. And the idea of not having that name, like when Honey Bear did Camp Anywhere or whatever, it's not grounded. There's something about like Camp Grounded it's the place where you come to ground. And And maybe it's just because I'm obsessed with my experiences there, but that's how I feel about it. And so I, you know, I would, the love that I've received from the community is striking. Um, some of it from individuals, please forgive me, that I don't remember. Like they took the class, they took the play shop, but that was it. It's not like they were honeybees. It's not like they hung out, and they were profoundly affected. And some of those videos, I was like, wow, I don't remember this person. Clearly they remember what happened, but I don't remember this person. And I feel that you know, like Firefly, uh, Britt Baker, Frisbee reached out to me, and did I get that wrong? He's Britt, yeah. His wife, I can't remember.
Yeah, Britt and Frisbee.
Okay, so Frisbee reached out to me and was just so beautiful in his message and so kind and so loving. And we didn't get to interact that often. We did once in a while, generally because a tick had eaten me. And I had to go get the tick removed. But he was, yeah, it was tick pizza. I don't know what happened there. I would change that. I'd outlaw all ticks. He so amazingly, impressively reached out to me with just such a sweet note. And this camp community seems to have, based on what I saw with regards to the GoFundMe, zero challenge rallying. The real question would be like getting a hold of the Camp Grounded name again. And, I still, I've said this to Shmoo a number of times, Swale, that you and I were sitting on the deck out in North Carolina, looking at each other, saying, this is not something that should be winding down. This is like something that is just winding up.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? We're the Twilight Zone,
Like, how is this not working?
How is this not working? How is something so profound not working? And I don't know if it's a matter of, because my brain doesn't do business all that well, but I don't know if it's a matter of basically, go on, George. Come on, buddy. I don't know if it's a matter of buying a piece of property, anchoring in there, and saying, we're going to always hold camp here. We're always going to be able to drag people across the nation to this particular adult summer camp. And we're going to build it and they will come, rather than saying we're going to be a traveling circus, which, as you know, better than anyone, Shmoo, is just it's a challenge, brother. It's a challenge when things don't go perfect. And so I don't think that I don't think the mobile idea works all that well financially, but I do think the idea of anchoring down, pulling people in, does. And the community itself, I think, could own Camp Grounded in the way the Green Bay Packers are owned by the Green Bay community. You know, they all own that team. And I think that this community could own this magic. I do. I don't know if that answers it, but that's how I feel about
I like it, whatever it is, Fog.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that wasn't to save Camp Grounded. That was to like help me and Tina, and the money that came rolling in. Imagine if it was to save Grounded. Imagine if it was to like own a piece of Grounded. I understand that that might make a challenge with like board of, you might need a board and you might need, but you could always put someone at the top and say, this is our CEO. And if you want to participate with this is going to be our CEO, Shmoo, and,
it's all you, mate.
and so, deal with it. Like this is who we have as a leadership group. Now, do you want to invest in it? Because I think the hardest part about going back to the T-spot was, how am I supposed to explain this? Like, I don't, I'm so screwed. I can't explain this. I can't explain the psychological beauty of unplugging from time, unplugging from talk of work, unplugging from talk of age, unplugging from name. I cannot, you have to live that to understand that. And when you do live that, and you're like, oh my God, these conversations are no longer default conversations about work. They're no longer default conversations about age or, Honey Bear would always say at the end of each that we asked you to give up a lot. We know that, but Jesus, it's so minor. It's the whole point of it. It's so minor. I don't think the Google camps work. I just don't. I get the money part of it. I do. I get how that works. But one night they're going to drink. It's just not the same innocence, so yeah.
It's a different purpose. I mean, it's just two different worlds. The ideas, they originate from the same thing, but it was a different purpose. When you do something with work, or you're pushed to go by work, and it's a function in that respect. I have that all the time and experience that in our industry too. But when it's something that you've heard word of mouth and you've heard good things of, and you're going there with your own, I don't want to say your own will, because you don't have to go to these work, you don't have to go to these things. But when you're going and you're paying for yourself, and you're agreeing to these terms, I think they're doing great for what it is, and cheers to them, and much respect. And I think it's successful in its own realm. But again, yeah, two totally different goals for the mind and the spirit, and that's, I think, why we loved Grounded so much.
Yeah. So that giving up of time, giving up of work, giving up of name, giving up of computer, giving up of all of these things, I can't explain, because the default conversation in everybody's head 24/7 tends to be that. And so when you remove all that, and it's sort of a now what, like, what are we going to talk about now? Oh, we're just going to play checkers. Oh, we're going to go swimming. Oh, we're going to, it just, it just does something beautiful. Just does something so, so beautiful.
I miss it.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Just you talking like this is making me like, why? Why were we able to get a taste of that and then it disappeared?
Volunteer all the way.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
How do we let that slip through our fingers?
Well, I mean, you can obviously not. I've often, when I've talked to individuals about the company, I'm like, look at, Levi in some ways, I'll compare it to Walt Disney, where he's its founding roots. I know Brooks involved, and I know Mobius is involved, but it's his founding roots. And like, Disney would not have survived if Walt died 2 weeks or 2 months in or 2 years in. It just wouldn't have survived. Disney would never have made it. Walt needed to be there for years and build Disneyland and make all of these beautiful movies and win all these awards, create deep, deep, deep roots. So I don't think you can just shuffle quickly by the significance of a family losing someone so dear to them as not being a key reason for it sliding through our fingers the way it did, with so much sorrow, But that doesn't mean that we can't rise from the ashes, and yeah. And oh my God, I would love to know that Grounded continues. That would be the most exciting thing in the world.
So you can trip the water boilers, and you can make it rain.
Basically, that could be the mayhem. Yeah.
The pranks the pranks that I expect you and Levi to be pulling on us.
Yeah. I'm really sorry I didn't get a chance to meet him. I'm super sorry I didn't get an opportunity to fill that little piece of the puzzle in. Because you're so different than Mobius. And it would have been nice to have seen the difference between all three of you, and the similarity, obviously. But yeah, you're so different, and Mobius doesn't want to do it again, right? Because he got trapped in the office.
I think if it was to come about again, he'd be involved, but in a different way. I mean, he could be camp nurse for camp doctor, the way the direction he's heading right now. So it could be a whole new stance for him.
Good point.
Yeah, but yeah. I think you'll get to meet Levi, and I've told him that he'll be hanging out and having tea together, sometime, and I think he'd be excited to hear about all of your ideas and the world you got to live with us.
Yeah, what a miraculous experience. Truly a miracle for me. It extends itself beyond magic, because so much of it was effortless. I've said this before. Swale knows this for a fact. The play shop outside of Camp Grounded was shite. It just didn't work. The play shop worked because you were there, Shmoo, and Shrell was there, and Honey Bear was there, and Ninja Mouse was there, and Bricky's there, and everybody's tenderizing these people so that the time that I reach them, their soil is so completely ready for seeds. You know, they're just like seed, 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 seed. I'm just throwing seeds.
And time is so relevant because by the time you saw them, it was only 24 hours after they got to camp too. So Matt, take time out of the picture, and it's just that's what it takes to
So
get people
true.
mushy.
But how quick also, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's the next morning when I'm doing my play shop. It was the first play shop of the day.
Yeah.
So really, really, really quick. At first, I said to Gypsy, I want the afternoon because I knew I was going to be up late. She scheduled me for the morning. I didn't understand it. I said to her, I said, I want the afternoon. She said, okay. She scheduled me for the morning. And I was like, I'm not getting this. And then I began to observe individuals and I began to notice that um, they were so out of their skulls. Once the play shop was over, they needed food, they needed lunch, they needed grounding. And I thought, oh, that makes sense. There's something, there's a good reason for her accidentally filling me in on the lunch or on the early one. That way individuals could go right away and get food and ground a lot of the information. So, so I didn't question it after the first couple times. I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting it. Uh, but yeah, yeah, dude, it's a it's a miracle.
You're a miracle.
Thank you. As are you too. That's for sure.
It is such a miracle that we got another opportunity to hang out with you here.
Yeah, this is a miracle. Yeah.
I was in such a good mood yesterday, Fog. I couldn't believe it. I, I was not expecting to have this opportunity. And then not only are you back, but you wrote me an essay on that on my text. Basically, it's like, oh, he's back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that was great.
I
I was
had
just over the moon. It was wonderful.
I just wanted to explain that things turned frighteningly on a dime. And I wanted to make sure you know that they could turn frighteningly on a dime again. Like I could wake up, I could have woken up today throwing up and nauseous and not wanting to get up at all. And uh, I needed to let you know that I'm all on board, but who knows what is coming down the pike. So that's why the essay was there. I wanted to make sure you knew. So, you
It was
know,
great.
yeah, yeah. You two are so beautiful, and I'm so fortunate and so grateful. So, you know, I'd do this 100 more times, just so you know.
Love you too.
Yeah.
We love you. There it is. We.
We,
Yeah.
Nice.
yep. We,
love ourselves.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
When I was going on the when I was going out of the out of body experiences, I was kind of saying to myself, I wonder where the multiplicity is in this. And the information I was getting back was, well, there's your physical, and then there's your astral. And basically, you're a plural we right now of I. I thought, oh, okay, that works too. So there was more than one me, so we,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like it had to be with somebody else. You know, you've got all of these versions of yourself, you know.
I want to keep doing this. Can you keep pulling some miracles out of your back pocket, Fog?
Who knows? Maybe I'm even better next week. I mean, it's weird. It's really, really like on death's door weird and then resurrected. So,
Oh, that's pretty weird too.
yeah, really weird.
How are you staying nourished?
Ice.
I
I am so obsessed with ice, Shmoo. Um, I'm eating sushi. I'm eating noodles, veggie sushi, yeah, avocado rolls, um, little tiny avocado rolls. I'm eating noodles and broth. And that's pretty it. Maybe an apple during the day, maybe a smoothie. I'm probably 140 pounds.
I'd say that. If you weigh less than
I normally weigh 175. So I've dropped a load of weight. So
I know last time we talked it was very tough and not pleasurable to eat chocolate. Are you able to eat chocolate again?
doesn't taste like chocolate. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I haven't had tea in like a month and a half. Tea, no tea, month and a half. Just weird, and no chocolate, and so I would love my palate's slowly coming back. Yesterday, I tasted raspberries for the first time. Like don't get me wrong, I could eat raspberries before, but I couldn't taste them. Yesterday, I could finally taste them. I could taste an apple for the first time yesterday. So I was on so many drugs, morphine and just so many different drugs. And a lot of these will just mess with your palate. They'll mess with your flora and fauna. They'll mess with everything about it. And so I definitely was in a drug haze with regards to way too many drugs.
Mhm.
And so now that I'm not taking anywhere near as much, like, yeah, I'm not taking any pain meds. I'm just dealing with what I've got. Um, uh, I'm able to taste more. So who knows? This might come back stronger, and I might come back stronger next week. So
you have some stockpile of people sending you all these chocolates and they're just kind of building up?
no, nobody's sent me any
Oh.
chocolates. Yeah, some people have been very kind to send me books. Coach sent me a book. My friend David in San Francisco sent me a book. And some friends from the Tea Spot sent me this really, I'll show it to you. Tina, can you hand me the cup? Thank you.
in a card that actually describes you, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, that's
Hey.
beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm getting little gifts, which are lovely. Like, I don't know if I'll ever use this, but oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I drink out of this every day if I could. Um, so yeah, so um, little things like that are coming, but no foods come. So except for my parents.
It must be nice being close to family.
It has its ups and it has its downs, only because they want to see you. They want to keep your eyes on you, like
Yeah.
till the moment of your death. They're like, and that's a lot to take. It really is. You're like, please, I just want to be here with this tree. I don't need to be like stared at. Does he need something? Is he going to die now? Is he going to die tomorrow? So it has its drawbacks, but it's what I needed to do. So because nobody was going to be able to make it the 8 hours down to where we were living. So
Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
wasn't going to happen. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, should we play it by ear, and if you have energy and do this again, you
Perfect.
can live in the moment and just be in touch.
Perfect. 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 Let's do that.
Okay.
Keep it in the moment. And if I can do more, I'll reach out.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love you, Fog.
I love you, Swale. I love you, Shmoo.
Amazing.
Love you, Fog. I love you, Swale.
Thank you so much for being part of my world.
Likewise. I couldn't imagine it without you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love you.
Tina, can I see you give him a hug and it's like we're hugging him?
Oh, so good to see you guys.
You get to give a virtual hug.
Oh, virtual hug? How do you do
Yeah.
that?
Can
You're just hugging me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was hugging in?
Yeah.
yeah, there it is. Now we feel like we're all hugging.
Good thinking.
I'll see you this summer. So you should get out here, Brad. We'll all be out this
Oh,
summer. And
yeah.
I'll see you.
We'll see if the Australian border's open. That's a whole
Oh,
nother thing.
right.
A whole
right.
nother thing.
It's a whole other thing.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I love you.
All right. Love
Love you
you.
too, brother.
Hopefully we get to do this again.
That'd be awesome.
Or connect in some other way, eh?
Or connect in some other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a haunted ghost situation.
Oh, come on. I don't like ghosts. Make it a little bit more friendly. Jeez.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Are ya? Are ya?
I love you.
Love you too.
Love you.
Merci and ciao.
Merci.
Merci.
Ciao. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, mate.